Okay, again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for the 20-minute discussion about the digital advertising program and Search Optics. We've been working with Mazda for quite a while. Actually, we used to do the Mazda Tier 2 activity before Garage Team Mazda came on board. And so we've been working with them for a while. We love working with Mazda. We want to talk to you a little bit about our company overview, the team that works on Mazda, the marketing services that we work with Mazda on, and also the benefits of the program, which is something that you guys are living every day. Again, we're independently owned, so we are not owned by a big conglomerate. That gives us a lot more flexibility and the ability to be nimble. For about 20 years, we have offices all over the world. And one of the things that's really important to us is that we're a digital technology company, not a marketing company. So what we do is we work with the technology. Everything we work with and build is something we build in-house. We also feel from a technology standpoint and a digital standpoint that expertise is very, very, very important. We never want to be a cookie cutter type of a company. So what we do is we require everybody who's working on the digital marketing services to be Google certified. So if somebody's working on the SEM team, they are digitally certified in SEM plus display, analytics, etc. So we have, for the calendar year of 2017, had 853 Google certifications. That's more than any other preferred provider. Even Dealer.com, that has thousands of dealers and thousands of employees, we're much smaller, but we have more Google certifications than them. And I think one of the things we like to put a feather in our cap is that we have more Google certification or more mobile certifications than all other providers combined. And with that, Google has named Search Optics the mobile champion for 2 years running, 2015 and 2016. That means Google has said, we do mobile marketing better than anyone else for these 2 years. And that's not just automotive. That's all non-automotive as well. So we're very proud about that. And we are performance and optimization focused. So we make sure that we spend a lot more time, and our team digs very deep into the programs. Our clients are top performers. So a lot of these clients we work with Shift, and some have their own in-house companies that work with co-op programs. But the top providers are companies we work with from a co-op standpoint. And then we also have partners that might either would be working outside the co-op program, or they don't necessarily have a co-op program in the midst. But we work with all these different brands, and we have different teams that work on those brands. Like, for instance, Laura is the team director for Mazda, and we have a team director for Land Rover, and one for GMC, etc. So a little bit about our team. Christian Fuller is the Chief Relationship Officer. He's in our Detroit office, as is Katie Francic, and she oversees all of the client services. We work with Nicole, who works on all the OEM programs. Laura Beeling, right there in the center, is the account manager for Mazda. She's got a team of Mazda associates that work with her and meet on a continual basis. Excuse me, and I'm there on the right. And I work with other OEMs as well, but I focus a lot on Mazda. I used to work on the advertising agency side at Donor when we were doing Zoom advertising back in the 90s and the 2000s. And then from there, I left and went and worked at Mazda on the marketing team. So I was the client when we had Search Optics. Once the consolidation of advertising happened, Search Optics asked if I wanted to come to the digital side, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity to do that. So I'm very happy that I was working as a client for Search Optics, and now I'm with Search Optics working on the client I used to work at. I know it sounds confusing, but it makes sense, promise. So I have this picture up here because when you look at some of the big box companies or even some of the traditional agencies, and this is something that you could use when you're talking to dealers that have one agency that does their radio, television, print, and digital, you look at them like a general practitioner. If you hurt your knee, you go to the doctor. He looks at your knee. But if you have something wrong with your heart, you want to go to a microsurgeon. And so realistically, all of us collectively that work on the digital side are deep into digital advertising. So you want to have a microsurgeon on digital advertising that works on your accounts, because you don't want to have somebody that is focusing on TV and radio, or, you know, Billy Bob Johnson who buys AdWords to focus on your marketing and digital marketing account. You want experts. And we believe, because of the Google certifications and what we make sure our people know, that we're the cream of the crop as far as the microsurgeons. We have a team approach. We always have a person that is answering the calls. Again, Laura is very involved in client services and contacts the clients. She has a team that does that as well. But any of the dealers that are working with Laura definitely know her, because she's very intuitive and makes sure she's on the phone with them. We have complete optimizations within all the platforms that we work on. As you know, there's no such thing as a full-service digital company, because there are so many widgets and gadgets and things that are out there that are third-party, that you want to just make sure that you're fully integrated with paid search, local search, social media, programmatic media, which is also video, and also organic search. So we do it all here. First, let's talk about search engine marketing, because we know that's really the cream of the crop as far as what dealers focus on, and what we need to make sure is totally spot on when it comes to Mazda. A couple of things that I know from my history as well is that Mazda is one of those niche brands still. So if somebody's looking for a Toyota or Honda, they might have 2 vehicles on their shopping list. So they look at those, and they know they might even get a Toyota or a Honda. When somebody's looking for a Mazda, they might have 4 to 5 vehicles on the shopping list. So once somebody becomes a Mazda intender, they're gold. And that's why Mazda has more competitive dealers, meaning Mazda dealers compete against each other more than any other brand. That's primarily because once somebody is a Mazda intender, that dealer wants to snag them and grab them. So I know that it's probably one of your guys' biggest obstacles is trying to make sure that dealers are not conquesting each other, because that is inherent in the Mazda brand. So what we do is make sure that we have the brand search all absolutely handled, so that the dealer knows their brand name is not going to be conquested. And that's something that's very important. We also know that there's a lot of dealers that have brand names with the name of their city in them, like Mazda of Everett or Tustin Mazda. And so there are neighboring dealers that will try to grab audience from there. So that's why we have to just make sure that we're very succinct on the language and also the areas that we're focusing on. So the non-brand search is more the geo-targeting searches to make sure that we're focusing on where the customer is. Make and model search, of course, we know that the swim lanes with make and model is primarily with the OEM, but when we have micro moments and we have purchase intent, that's when we start adding those in there, so that we would be able to do some separation from the OEM when it comes to SEM. So we have enterprise bid management, real-time campaign optimizations by real people, custom ad copy and link extensions. And the custom ad copy is really important too, because we do look at competition, and we do see there are so many generic types of ad copy. And the reason they do that is they don't have to really worry about where the search is taking the customer, because they don't have to be as succinct. We make sure that, let's say if there's an offer on a Mazda 3 that Mazda of Everett is focusing on, we will demand that there's going to be the Mazda 3 at the end of that click and with that offer. And we know that Google is going to demand that as well. So we make sure to follow the guidelines to make sure that that's the case. Looking at this hierarchy chart, we start at the bottom, make sure that Mazda of Everett owns their brand. With more focus, we move up the chain to make and geo. So Mazda of Everett, with Mazda in the Everett area, model and geo, so Mazda 3 in Everett, et cetera. Of course, we're never going to get to a point of just having generic category autos advertised for them, but this just shows you the hierarchy of how we do it. And we focus, of course, on the purchase intent micro moments, so that we're keeping in line with the guidelines, but also making sure that we're hitting the customer with the brand name, with the geo-targeting, and also with the purchase intent language that's necessary for us to be able to get the consumer who's in market to buy a car. Another thing we do is strive for the lowest cost per click. I'll talk to you in a minute about our UpTrax analytics tool that allows us to check the leads based on the advertising. So cost per lead is really important to us as well, because that's really the creme de la creme is making sure that we know how much it's going to cost for each of the dealers to get the leads. And then also making sure we have price extensions. So here's an example of Mazda deals in Shrewsbury, Century Mazda. We're very specific about the language, but also we have price extensions. We do that for a couple of reasons. One, Google provides them at no charge. Two, we're able to focus on, let's say, 3 or 4 different vehicles. If somebody clicks on that particular vehicle and it goes directly to a 2017 Mazda 3 lease message within their website, we could track that and know which is most popular. But I think the most important thing, one of the reasons why we're the Google mobile champion, is when you have price extensions like this, it decreases the amount of competition that could be on the mobile device platform when somebody's looking for specifically Century Mazda, or if they're looking for a Mazda in that area, there's not the ability to have more than one competition on the screen because we fill it up. So search engine optimization is also something that's incredibly important. We know that 2/3 of the people that click on a Google page will be clicking on the organic listing. We also know that with a new program like this, a lot of dealers are switching to websites. They're going with the basic package, and a basic package usually doesn't have a lot of search engine optimization built in. We've seen that with the basic packages, a lot of specials aren't even loaded up on the pages, et cetera, et cetera. So what we want to do is provide the dealer with more robust search engine optimization to get more of the organic traffic to their respective website. So we feel that's incredibly important as well. So what I'd like to do is pop it over to Laura, because Laura's going to go through the social media advertising, and she's doing a lot of programs. As a matter of fact, we did a Facebook click-to-web program with SEM as a test in the Gulf area. We did it for the whole state of Texas. And that one of the things, talking about the nimble aspect of this whole thing, is we were able to, of course, Natasha was a big part of this, but we were able to get the Gulf region, the state of Texas, on the program in less than a week. There was 47 dealers, creative, the SEM, as well as social media. And I think one of the biggest problems was making sure that the dealers had the offers on their website. But anyway, the program was great. So Laura, why don't you take us through the social media advertising? And I'll unmute you.
Bob, can you go ahead and click the slides for me? My mouse for some reason isn't clicking over. With that, so we can go to the next slide. So as far as social media and our strategic approach, we do have social media packages that we offer, but as far as for the Mazda digital program, we currently are only offering the paid portion of that. So like Facebook promoted posts, that'd be like click to web ads or your lead generator ads, and then sponsored tweets and Instagram advertising is another one that we're incorporating right now. So you can go to the next slide. And then as far as our Facebook ads, so what we do, we can either run a click-to-web ad that's static, so what you see on the left-hand side would be considered a static ad, or a carousel ad. And that's discussed with the client each and every beginning of each month. Preferably, we like to do the carousel ad because we find that the click-through rates in most markets is higher, and therefore they're also able to display more than one vehicle at a time. And then we discuss what those vehicles are going to be, whether it's going to be lease versus purchase based off of their market too. Once we have the creative and our specials in tech, we do our targeting based off of Facebook data. So like example, a single 35, 50-year-old man, we display a sports car, like a Miata to him. And then we also use our CRM and website matching. So we target customers and keep them engaged. And then we'll do like a lookalike. So if we can target similar types of people to those that you've already sold to. So if I have a client that provides me with their list with all their email addresses of people they've sold to in the last 4 years, I can target to them. And then I can also target a lookalike audience to get a bigger pull for that, or even do a lookalike audience from site retargeting as well. So that just expands our reach too. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We're moving into programmatic media, which will be our display and our pre-roll video. So as everyone knows, people are constantly on their smartphones or either on their laptops. So we spend about nearly 6 hours a day on digital. With our programmatic ads like display and video, we're seeing that project the growth to about 40% year over year. So we want to make sure that we're grabbing those shoppers where we can, especially because they are going to be higher funnel. And this is going to be a lot more efficient than TV and radio is now, based off of the fact that we're able to target customers from retargeting and their behavior, the shopping behavior in market.
And one thing we know too, I'm sorry, Laura, it's all objective based. So one thing we know too is that with display advertising, you're not looking to get next day leads. What you're doing is you're getting awareness for the product. We know that, let's say with tier 2 advertising, there used to be a lot more awareness gathering advertising out there, but now they're getting it to the dealer. So there still needs to be some display advertising to get people that are at the shopping funnel portion where they want to know more about the car.
Correct. So that's like a digital billboard. So for example, a good way to look at that, if someone's in the market for a sedan and they're not OEM loyal yet, like with a Ford, it's great for us to get them with a Mazda 3 ad first with that digital billboard, with that special, so they know what's out there, even if they didn't have Mazda on the brain before. And then once they go back into their paid search campaigns and they look up, a Mazda 3 or Mazda deals, we're coming up either with that price extension, with that same special that we are offering for Facebook and or display for the price extension or ad copy and that paid search ad too. So they're going to be more likely to click on the ad, the paid search ad. Okay, and then I'm sure you guys all know how it works as far as display and pre-roll. So we're just going to use data to identify consumer behavior and traits, and then we'll target ads based on those behaviors to intercept those audience. And then if they decide to click onto that ad, then we're going to drive them right to the website where it makes more sense, preferably to an inventory page that has that offer listed. But with doing A/B testing, I have found that driving them to a specials page where they've had multiple specials listed, if they're easy to read on mobile and desktop, has been a better performer as far as activities on the website. Next slide, please. So again, we'll do the same setup where we'll figure out what they want to focus on for the month. Do you want to try to move CX-5s or Mazda 3s? We're doing lease versus purchase, and then what kind of look and feel that they want. I like to keep it, and my team like to keep it as close to what their website looks like as possible. So if they have a fall-themed website, then we want to keep our display ads as fall-themed as well. So
and we do all the creative in-house. And
correct.
then also something that you can see here too is that Century wanted to have a baseball look and wanted to have a completely different feel. So none of our ads look alike. So Century, and by the way, Natasha, Century is updating their logo to put the Mazda there, so that's a good win. Same thing with Montrose, but you have a Century ad that looks the way it does. Montrose looks completely different. So again, no cookie cutter stuff. We want to make sure that the look and feel represents the look and feel and the personality of the dealership. I think we could go to local search.
Yeah, that we've covered quite a bit. And as far as local search directories, I know that Mazda corporate wasn't talking about incorporating this nationwide, and that's just making sure that all their 60-plus local directories are optimized and correct across the board, like Google My Business or Yelp or Foursquare. Actually, Bobby, you can just go to the next slide due to time with this. And that's just going to be the directories that we are able to optimize right now. So prime example of what happens is some people have, duplicate Google My Business directories, and they don't know how to get in and get rid of it because that employee may not be at the dealership anymore and they don't have access to it. So we'll work with Google to either get that other directory combined with the one that we've created, or we'll work with them to get that one removed. And then through UpTrax, we're able to track where the visits came from, those local directories and phone calls that will get recorded as well. But
and
again,
when somebody has their local, go ahead.
I was just saying, but again, that's something that Moz is working on to get to all the Mazda dealers across the board. But currently, we're able to do that for them right now if they need assistance with it.
Yeah, and what we do is we make sure that it's optimized and looked at on a continual basis. And the reason this is important is because Google has algorithms. One of them is Pigeon. And the Pigeon algorithm says you better have all 60 of your directories up to speed. And if you don't, you're going to get dinged and go down from an organic standpoint. And it is amazing because 60 directories, some of them, no one has ever heard of and the dealer's never heard of. But, there was this one dealership that used to, they did when they started their business, they started it as Peanut Butter and Jelly Incorporated. And then we ended up finding that it was Peanut Butter and Jelly Incorporated on the Chamber of Commerce listing. So they just don't know. It's a lot of minutia that a dealer shouldn't be focusing on. They should be focusing on selling cars instead of worrying about their local listings. So UpTrax. UpTrax is our analytics tool, and it's a sister company. So we're able to use them to be able to look at all the analytics, whether or not it's advertising that we're placing or not. And so what we are able to do is look at the total calls, form leads, how many total leads, visits, total activity. So it's in a sense, it's like Google Analytics, but on steroids, because it provides all the leads based on the advertising that the customer clicked on. And then we're able to track that advertising throughout the website itself. So each dealer gets a dashboard, and they're able to access it themselves. It's updated on, of course, a daily basis, so they look at it from a day standpoint or a month standpoint, or if, let's say, they have a sale during a particular weekend, they're able to do that, but they're able to see where their money is how their money is being spent and what money is actually paid off, how many leads they get in from what specific ad that they're running, parts and service, the whole shot. So we're monitoring the effectiveness of every marketing dollar. It is real time. And also a benefit is that if somebody calls into the dealership, they're able to listen to the calls for that particular ad as well. So call tracking is all a part of this. And we include this in everything that we're doing with all of the Mazda dealers. Something else that is part of an added value is with every display or video program that a dealer signs up for, we have something called UpTrax Match. And that allows us, working through Datalogix and Polk, that we're able to match the campaign that's running from a display or video standpoint to how many cars are sold in that particular area based on the impressions of the particular ad itself. We could see how many people saw the ad and bought a Ford and what model they bought, whether or not it was new or used, or whether it was leased or purchased. So this provides us with a lot of insights to see what's going on in the marketplace. And the reason the dealers like this too is they can see who their top competitor is in their market and the top zip codes. So again, this is done dealer by dealer, and it's an added value that we provide at no additional charge. So Laura's going to take you through our package offerings, and then we'll talk about the actual prices by marketing service.
And this is on the portal, the ship portal too, when they sign up, these package prices. So we have Engage, was what we start at the $9.99. So that's a custom one service. So most likely that's going to be SEM. unless they have SEM with another advertising agency that's not in the program, then we can discuss adding different products to that instead in place of that. And then our expand, which is the $19.99, so custom up to 2 services. Our command, which is $29.99, which is custom up to 3 different services. And then as far as custom packages go, with a minimum of $9.99 or higher, and then we're able to create their own package depending on, the set budget they give us. So if they want like a $2,500 budget or a $1,500 budget, we can go from there based off of what they choose and then what their market's like with services.
And what we'll do is we'll do an analysis of the marketplace to then look, what do you need to spend in your market to engage the customer? And then the next step up, what would you need to enhance your messaging? And then another pricing model to say, okay, based on the activity in your market, if you want to command the activity in your market, it's going to cost this much. So again, the reason we have it this way is because there's no dealer that's going to be the same as the other dealer, even if they're right next door to each other. There's going to be different levels of engagement needed and different levels of spending based on their inventory, based on their objectives, and also, of course, based on their geo-marketing and their customer base.
And Bob, I believe Brian had a question. Brian, yes, that includes the management fees within those packages. And then as far as the pricing for each product, here is, you'll have this to look at. So SEM starts at a minimum of $9.99. Our SEO has 4 different packages, $5.95, $11.95, $17.95, and $22.95. Display, that starts at a minimum of $500, and each $500 gives you 1 display ad that we build. We're that creative, and it will run with 4 different sizes. Your video advertising is a minimum of $9.99 to start, and 1 video for each $9.99. So they can have their own video that they're providing, or we can pull assets off the M Drive and then set up it with an end card and then companion banners as well for that and create it ourselves. Then Facebook advertising is going to be $500 minimum, and so you can have 1 ad for each $500, and that, so like you could do a carousel ad for $500 if you're only running that, and get, so you're able to display 4 to 5 different vehicles, or you could just do a static ad depending on what your budget is. And as far as local search, that's $4.95, and if you wanted to include reputation management, you would have to have local search plus reputation management for the $6.95.
The note at the bottom is minimum 1 product standalone spend. That means that if somebody just wants to do one thing, as per the shift agreement, it's $5.99. But if, let's say that they're doing a series of things and they want to do just 1 ad on display, we could just add that in for $500. And the thing is that the creative is no charge. We don't charge. There's no a la carte stuff. So we put an ad together, again, in all the different sizes. That's all part of it. And one of the reasons why 1 ad is sufficient is because, when you have advertising running in a given month, you don't want to be changing the creative many different times during the course of the month. We could do, depending on the budget, 2 different ads, as Laura said, and do some A/B testing to see which one is getting the most results. And we have UpTrack, so we're able to see it on a daily basis to see what's working and what's not.
And just to be clear, that $5.99, so you wouldn't be able to get SEM or video for $5.99 because those are the minimum starts at $9.99. Right.
So what we like to do is think of us as the Mazda dealer digital cavalry, because we are nimble and because you give us a call, we're able to get on the phone with you right away and talk to a dealer, but also be able to put something together in a quick turnaround time, but also it's very succinct and it is based on what their needs are. So with that, I think I have, everyone is able to talk. We all know the benefits of the program, which is something Mazda didn't have before, is everything is 100% co-op eligible. It's very turnkey. It's all done for you. The dealers don't have to worry about sending in compliance. It's all done for them. And of course, our benefit is it's by real results-oriented Mazda experts at the most Google-certified company in the world. What we do is we make sure when we're talking to a dealer is how to sign up, going to Mazda Digital Certified, picking Search Optics, and we like them to pick custom because we'll talk to them and develop a plan that is perfect and right for them. So sorry about the little technical difficulties up front, but thank you so much for taking the time. Are there any questions that anyone has?
I guess one question I would ask, just because you guys have some pretty unique reporting that you guys are using, what do you guys typically see from like a dealer's transition into like how simplified it goes to actual success? Like, are seeing success from your reporting, like, is it pretty easy for them to go through their metrics and see, I guess, how they're identifying a win there? If that makes sense, how I said that.
Well, yeah, you know what? It's we're able to show them the progress as things go. So yeah, and a big part of it is working with them on the optimization. So if something is not going so well, we're able to kind of call that out. It's not going to be a point where after a month say, oh, this campaign really was terrible. It would be a matter of, our SEM team putting up a red flag and saying, okay, let's talk about this because it's not going in the direction we want it to go. So that part of it is a positive, but also what we like to do is we like to see trending and working with the dealers on that. So yes, the answer is we have the ability to look at UpTrax and say, all right, this is how things looked. This is what your click-through rate was last month versus where it is now. And your share of voice is improving drastically. And the thing is, we monitor that as well because we'll say up front that, hey, you know what? You need to get in your market, you need to get 90% share of voice, and it'll take 10% of your budget. So let's look at that. And if let's say that 10% of the budget is only getting 81% share of voice, then we work with them to make all the adjustments. So the answer is yes. The UpTrax really does a great job of being able to help dealers know what's working, what's not, and how it's improved.
And then let me just specify on that. So we don't have impression shares in UpTrax. That's something that we can provide on a weekly basis to them. But we do go over that monthly. As far as UpTrax, though, they can go in and they can, even segment out campaigns. So you just want to see, okay, what does my MIG-GEO visits look like from paid search? And you can go in and look at your activities and see what your bounce rate's like, average page views, average time spent, and adjust accordingly too, based off of that as well. And the same thing with display in Facebook or SEO. So you can go and see how each different campaign is performing once they, enter that website.
And we provide a login for the dealers to be able to check their own UpTrax, but we go over it with them on a monthly basis. I would say probably 80% of the dealers rely on us to go through it. There are some dealers that love it and live it and go through it on a continual basis. And because, that you guys have some dealers that are very analytics oriented. And so they want to live in the numbers. But it's a choice. If they want to see it and have a login, they get it and they could log in. And again, it's what we find too is if you have local search, SEO, and SEM all together, not only is somebody 5 times more likely to click on your listing, but it shows an UpTrax so well where you're able to see right one next to the other next to the other. You could see how many customers came in or looked and clicked through in all those different areas, excuse me, and where they're getting the leads. So that's probably one of the biggest benefits of it.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm. What we'll do too is we'll send a PDF of the presentation to Natasha, but also we are available anytime if there's you're going into a dealership and you need some information going in. We'll be happy to provide some insights going in. But if there's somebody you're sitting with and you say, I know you got to be fair with all the different providers, absolutely. But if there's a situation where you need, just some insights for a particular dealer, and especially if it's one of our dealers, by all means, please contact us. Or if you see something glitchy, let's have a discussion about it, so that what we could do is we could talk about maybe some of the rationale. I mean, right now we're working on a program, excuse me, where it's Mazda retargeting. And so the click-through rates are wonderful, but when you look at the amount of people that are coming in and the amount of leads, it's virtually nothing as far as the amount of leads, because it's a different type of property, and it's something that's people are clicking through. But so there's some rationale as to some of the things that are going on that would be good to just continue to talk about.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely agree.
All right. Anything else?
I think we're good to go. We appreciate all the thoroughness there.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend. And I hope whoever wants the Dodgers or the Astros to win, you get your team of choice.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, you guys have a happy
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.